I don't care when you go on. Hello, Diane. Oh, yeah. I figure I'd start this thing early, and I may shut it down early and get some sleep. Hey, Mr. Steve. Yeah, I figured I'd hit it early tonight. I am tired and wore out. I'll stay on here an hour and a half and then get to bed a little early tonight. How's everything going with you, Steve? Yeah. Some days are like that. Yeah, they are. All right, I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, I don't think I won't have real good luck out of these peckerheads this time. I got 8 babies out of them out of the incubator, and we'll give it another day or so and see if I get any more. Well, they ain't very good out of 36 eggs or 35. I think they got shipped in that cold weather, and some of them froze. How you gonna get it to the shop, Diane? Tow truck? Oh, okay. Hey, Miss Janice, how you doing, girl? Oh, how did we get so much junk on these computers? I've been going through taking pictures that off several years ago. I done took nearly 3,000 pictures off. Mm. Hello, Gracie. How you doing, girl? still in Quartzsite, Gracie? Yeah, I got it down to I took 3,000 off nearly. Hey, Dyson. Oh, it's nice here. It was in the 70s today. Supposed to be 80 tomorrow. Be my kind of weather. Ooh. Don't say that too loud, Steve. It'll be snowing. Yeah, it's still nearly 60 here. You done got back in the warm weather then, haven't you, Gracie? You told me that other night. Brisbane is not warm, is it? Well, you know, for a long time out there at Quartzsite, nobody said anything about going down around Yuma. I think it's getting more popular now. Oh, I thought you were already in Yuma. Damn. Yeah, I remember you saying something about hell. Well, is that real unusual for y'all, Steve? Yeah, my head been busy today. Hey, Mike, you, Wee Willie. Well, you know, we've had a couple pretty bad storms here this year, but usually we don't get any snow or ice here every 4 or 5 years. We've got it the last 2 years here pretty heavy. Well, you ought to be a lot warmer there, Gracie. Well, I wonder if Crystal made it home. Jim Scott. Hey, Mr. Daniel, how you doing? Mr. Moon. I bet that Jock with that all that old long hair, I bet he's getting warm now. Brotherly love. Yeah, I bet. Shed like a goat, huh? Mr. Mobang. How you doing, Tim? Well, that cold weather ought to put them rattlers to bed anyway, Steve. It's warm weather to bring them back out, though. I just got through watching the movie, too, Steve. Real concho. Hello, Hope. Well, I appreciate it. You know you're always welcome in here. Miss Georgianne. How you doing, gal? Miss Boxman D, how you doing? It's supposed to be in the 70s and 80s here in Texas for the next week. Yeah, if anybody wants to come up, come on. It's in the 70s here too, D. Supposed to be in the 80s tomorrow. Hello, Linda Barker. Yeah, it was just a pretty day here. I'm ready for a bunch of them. Hopefully, maybe this wintertime might be over with. I appreciate it, Jim. I keep forgetting about that. I keep forgetting who that Hope Bus is until somebody reminds me. Ooh, sound like y'all got some pretty weather too. Maybe it won't rain on you, Janet. I'm ready for some of that. Y'all still getting bad weather, Georgianne? Usually we don't. Once we get into March, we don't have much bad weather. Usually right around Easter we'll have one more cold spell, and then but it's not usually but one day. I hope it stays with that. Boy, it hadn't been here. Well, sound like everybody's got some pretty weather coming up. Really? Boy, that's gonna be a short summer for you then. Hey, Nate. Not yet, anyway, Mike. Yeah, me too. Hey, Mr. Steve.
How you doing, Ron?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Good. I'm a little dark here. Yeah, I'm about done with wintertime. I don't know about you, but
I was done with it the first 15 minutes.
I think it was
I
Wednesday.
don't like cold.
Last Wednesday, we got woke up at like 11 o'clock at night with a hail beating against the roof in the house. It was a mess.
Ooh. We've got a little hail one time this winter, but it was just pea-sized stuff. Didn't amount to much.
And the crappy weather that we get usually happens around Valentine's Day every year, about the middle of February. We have really unusual weather.
Well, usually our last cold spells are when Easter was in March. Well, we usually got one little cold spell then, and then it straightens up. Yeah, it got a little cool then too, did it, Gracie? I got to play with Jack a little bit there when Gracie met me at the damn, can't even think the name of that restaurant now, Cracker Barrel,
Oh, yeah.
and we sat there and ate. I got to play with her puppy for a little while.
Yeah, he's a cutie, all right.
Yeah, he is.
Gracie, I went out and bought one of those tennis ball throwers like you have for Jacques, and I've got it out here. Then I play with Lucas just about every day with it, and he just loves that thing. You seen those sticks, Ron? The real long one where it holds the tennis ball on the end, and you take it and you fling it,
Yeah,
and you can throw a tennis ball 100 yards.
I tell you what, they what do they call that? They got a game that the Indians used to play with the sticks and the balls like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can throw them a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, D and Roy was talking about that. Said everything he had was muddy. Did you get that too, Steve?
Well, they had the wind up there, right? You guys got a whole bunch of wind, was blowing all that dust around, and then a little bit of rain overnight just kind of muddied things up.
Well, have you ever been in a mud storm to where they like they have wind sandstorm, it's raining, just be pure mud hitting the ground.
We get dust storms here just to the north of us is a real bad, when you have farm areas that do a lot of plowing and you get that poof dirt and then some pretty good winds come along, it actually shuts down I-10 sometimes when it gets really bad.
Dang, Janice. Oh Lord, them two brothers are just normal, aren't they? Picking on each other continually. What have you had that's been buried to the axle for 2 weeks, Janice?
Monsoons, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was talking to Badge the other day, and he said, "I think I'm going to Texas this next year." Oh, okay. Duh. he said it's been warmer in Texas than it has in Arizona. I just wonder how all this crazy weather is going to affect the snowbirds next year. There's got to be a lot of them that come down here and said, "Damn, I thought it was supposed to be warm."
Yeah, but it's, it comes and goes. I mean, our winter is only about 2 months down here. And out of that, you have probably 3 weeks worth of cold, crappy weather, so.
Yeah, they got more than that this year.
Yeah. But it's
And
nice being retired, and not having to work in it.
yeah, and that's the truth. They, but as crowded as Quartzsite was this year, that may affect things a little bit too.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there before the big tent show there. A lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I understand, that there was about twice as many as there normally is.
Yeah, when we checked into La Posa South there, the lady that checked us in said she had never seen that many people there before. It was incredible.
I saw some pictures where I went about 4 or 5 miles in the last time I was out there in camp, and there wasn't nobody around. I think there was one camper I could see way off. And man, I saw some drone footage of that stuff, and it was just solid people as far as you could see.
Yep, a lot of people. And, there's a lot of people now that are full time nomads, like Roy and Becky, that decided to sell their places and go full time. Quite a few van lifers out there, too. We noticed a lot more vans this year.
Well, I think this lifestyle, as crazy as the economy is and as crazy as everything is, I think it's gotten more popular.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's funny? I noticed, I watch a lot of videos on here sometime, and I don't think there's as many RVers on here as there used to be. Now you see more vans, I think, since they came out with that Ford and that Dodge van.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the RVs go, full time RVers, I don't believe they're not on YouTube like they used to be.
Nope, I believe you're right. I think with the larger vans, especially ones you can stand up in, I mean, that was the long pole in the tent before, was being able to stand up inside your van. And now they build them that way, so it makes it a lot nicer.
Yeah. There's so many different classes of campers, from tents. You see somebody, I know some people that live in a tent year round. And, the minivans and the vans, and then the tall vans. You got a lot of vehicles. I tell you something that's got real popular, and that's the motorcycle camping. There's
Mm-hmm.
a ton of people doing that now.
Yeah. Janice makes a good point. Cost of fuel would have slowed down a lot of that. And it slowed us down, because normally we'd be tripping across the country in that RV, but at 6 miles to the gallon, I don't have the extra money to spend $1,000 on gas to take a trip.
Yeah, that's true, Mo Mine. Yeah, well, just about the time Quartzsite was getting started this year, that fuel price dropped. And, for a little bit. And right before the elections, I know it dropped. Of course, they always do that.
Well, they were pumping oil out of the reserve. That's what they were doing, is pumping oil out of the reserve and selling it on the market to help the prices go down.
They playing politics with it.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to run out of oil, and then prices will go back up probably.
We're sitting on more oil than the Far East is sitting on. We ain't going to run out.
Yeah.
if they'll let them pump it.
Now there's mo bang for your bucks. 50K a pop, Class B van is muh. He's not going to spend 50K on a van.
No, me either. I had way back there. You remember when they had the good time vans?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I bought a Dodge Maxi van, and I hated I sold it, but it had a pop top on it. It looked just like a regular van, but then you hit 4 latches and shove the top up, and
Mm-hmm.
it was 6 foot something. That was about as neat a rig as I've ever had.
Yeah,
And
those were nice. I had a 1971 Tradesman 100. Had the 318 cubic inch V8 in it, 3 speed on the column. That was the first van I had. And back then, we didn't have quartzsite and camping in vans and things, but we had van clubs. And I belonged to a van club up in Utah, in Ogden, Utah. And we traveled around and went to shows, much like you see now with RV shows, but they were, van shows back then. And then people would sell parts, and you would find people that would reupholster for you and all kinds of stuff. Those were fun days.
yeah, well, that van I bought, it was naked. It had an air conditioner put in it, and had a dinette in it, and that was all that was in it when I bought it. But it didn't have the shag carpet and none of that junk.
Oh yeah, I had the shag carpet and the whole bit in mine. Yeah, it was a manual 3 speed on the column.
I had something weird happen to me. I was on a trip with me and my wife and 2 kids. Hello, MLW. How you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a few days. Yeah, but they proud of him now, Diane. Woo! They are. I had that Dodge Maxi van, and I was on a trip, and I pulled off the highway and got on another highway and stepped down on it, and it'd run for a minute, and then it'd go to popping and die. Oh, what is wrong with this thing? I messed around and pulled it off the shoulder of the road and cranked it up, and it sat there and just idled perfect. And you go down the road 500 yards, and it'd go to popping and spitting and die. Well, I couldn't.
Fuel pump.
I told my wife, I said, "Get behind the wheel and crank it. Let me get out and listen to it." And when she cranked that thing and stepped down on it, it went to whistling. Just, oh, okay. And back in those days, and I don't know why in the hell they did it, they had a big end to the exhaust pipes, and it had 2 screens in it. And that inside screen had come loose and shoved up against the outside screen and was shutting the exhaust off. Back pressure would kill that motor.
Okay.
And I heard that and got to listening, and he picked the screwdriver up, drove it through that screen in about 3 or 4 places, took off, and I drove it another 20,000 miles like that. I don't know why in the hell they put that screen in them things like that.
Yeah. I had something similar to that happen in my old 98 Cherokee where the catalytic converter clogged up and it wouldn't run anymore.
I never have had, knock on wood, had a catalytic converter clog up, but I know they do.
It took me a long time to figure it out. It took me probably 6 weeks before I figured it out. Georgianne says all these people with school buses can't understand how they afford to drive them. I know those things got to be expensive.
Yeah, they did. But the school bus is something I've got no desire to own. And I know a lot of people, raise them roofs up. Boy, they spend a ton on them things. Yeah.
They're
If I was,
nice. The nice thing about the school buses is you don't have to worry about overweighting them. You could pack a lot of stuff in a school bus.
Yeah, you can do that now. But I think if I was going to do that, I'd buy a semi and stretch it out and build me a camper on the back of a light semi.
Mm,
You can get 1,000,000 miles out of one of them things and not, them truck engines or something else.
yeah, that's true.
And
You got to have the license to drive it, right?
well, no, not if it's geared up under 25,000 pounds. You don't.
No.
You know, I had a commercial license, but I dropped it here a while back. I didn't want to keep taking that damn physical every year. Yeah, that's right, Georgianne. That's the reason I've enjoyed this little small motorcycle I bought at 300. That 70 and 80 miles to the gallon will spoil you right quick. Well, and you go fill it up, and it takes about 2 1/4 gallons.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? You could used to be able to fill a car for that, which you
Yeah,
spend on a couple gallons on your motorcycle.
the, but boy, I'll get some bad looks. I'll pull in a gas station and run at the most, 2.5 gallons in, and you talking $6, $7, $8, something like that. And some of will pull up there in a pickup, and yeah, there you go, Jim. Some of will pull up my pickup and put $120, $130 in the pump.
Yeah.
Ooh. I've been thinking about trading my truck off. I got a Chevrolet Silverado, and just getting some age on it. Got the good motor in it. I mean, it's in good shape, but about 15 miles a gallon is all it'll get. But I've been looking at those Nissan, uh, what's the name of Frontiers,
Mm.
and them things are getting 27, 28 miles a gallon, and they got a tow rating of like 8,500 pounds.
Oh wow.
And of course, I'm sure they wouldn't get that towing. No, you don't. I guess I ride mine enough, mowing it. It don't really bother me too much. I've gone on some long trips on them motorcycles. On that Harley, I went all the way up into Idaho here a couple of years ago. And but that's one advantage of taking a dog with you. About every 100 miles, you got to get out and walk him around too. So,
And then go ahead and gas up while you're there.
yeah, and yeah, I can run about 200 miles on that. It's got a 2.9 gallon tank on this last bike I bought, and I can run about 200 miles on that if I want to, and that's more miles than I like to run before I get off.
Yeah, we used to run 100 to 140 miles before we'd get off and take a break.
Okay, Linda, I'll look here in a minute. I just enjoy riding the bike. Just and I like to make long runs on them. I just they I think one of the neatest trips that you could take, and I've been talking to a couple people about it. They're talking about some people don't like to ride the motorcycle, especially some of them guys' wives. And we talking about putting a trip together, 7,000, 8,000 mile trip, and then have somebody following in a pretty good sized RV to
Chase vehicle. Yeah.
where you wouldn't have to camp,
Yeah.
unless you wanted to, but you had a good bed and a good place to eat when you wanted to. That would be a hell of a trip.
I had a good trip right after I retired. I retired in 2017, and I think it was 2018. Two other guys and I rode to Washington D.C. The Run to the Wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did that, and that was pretty cool. I did that on my Goldwing though. That was a pretty comfortable, road bike.
Oh, that them old gold wings. That was the first big bike I ever owned, and the that's one of the most comfortable bikes you can get on.
Yeah, Oki really likes it. I put her on the back of that Harley, and she's bitching and complaining before we go very far. And I put her on that Goldwing, and she's plenty happy there. It's like a
Yeah,
couch.
they're supposed to stop making that gold wing. I think.
Yeah, when they changed I forgot what year it was, but they changed the whole bike. They downsized it and changed the looks of it. And I think they lost a lot of sales. The one I have is a 2003, and that era was a pretty good looking bike, and they changed them. I think in '06, maybe later, '08, and the sales just dropped out of them. You don't see them on the road anymore.
Mm. Well, and they got these big bikes are getting so damn expensive too. I looked at I've got a Harley Road Glide that the sidecar's on, and that same just a Road Glide with the bag, decked out, $70,000. I mean, there's not many people gonna pay that kind of money.
No, that's the price of a truck.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
or a house if you're in the right place.
yeah, yeah.
The and I looked at a trike, and that damn trike was $100,000.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't see how they sell one.
I don't think they are selling many of them.
This Harley dealer here just continually turning them. They sell 10 or 15 a week.
Oh, that's all those rich Texans
Yeah, I
buying
guess.
those. Yeah,
People,
those oilmen, Texas.
yeah, that's some people that got a good line of credit. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I bought this little old Honda 300 Rebel, and I think list on that thing was $4,600. The 22 model.
Hmm.
I mean that was new then.
I had a 250 Rebel that I taught my wife to ride on. Bought it off of a coworker and took her out in the desert on a dirt road and taught her to ride for a while. And she got her permit and rode it for a while, but she decided she'd rather be a passenger. So, she never got her license, but it was a good little bike. And when I was on that thing, I'm 6'2" and 200 back then. I was pushing 250 pounds. I looked pretty funny riding on that little 250.
Yeah. Well, they're making a they're making that 300 and then they make a 500. And I'm
Mm,
not so sure that 500 is not probably the best bike out there for the money. It's about $6,000 and still get pretty good gas mileage. But it'll haul two up all day long without a problem.
yeah.
But that 300 I got, of course, everybody wants 1,000 or 1,200 or them big bikes. By damn, at my age, I don't want to be picking a 900-pound bike up off the road. If something happened, I'd drop it.
Yep.
You know, the bike I got weighs 300 and something. Well, I can stand it up if I need to.
Sure.
But that's got to be a big consideration for me.
Especially if you got a bad knee, right?
Yeah, and that knee is not doing good. It's swollen up big time tonight.
You
During
push
that,
you push it a little too hard today.
Well, now what I did that last ice storm that we had, you know how travel trailers got the metal steps. Well, I had a
Yes.
hold of the handle coming out of it, and I didn't slip on that bad leg, but I slipped on my good one, and I caught myself with that bad one, and just hurt it a little bit. And I thought, well, it straightened on back up, but it steady got worse since then. And
That's not fun.
no, and it's getting bad enough now. I'm going to go get it seen about again, I guess. Yeah, Mobang up to 500. 500 is a sweet spot. I think that 500 Rebel weighs 400 pounds, something like that.
For years, I had a 500cc Yamaha Virago that I rode back and forth to work. It was about 45 miles to work one way, and I rode that thing every day for years.
Yamaha makes a good bike. Them Honda Ruxuses are, there is a ton of them things around. I got one more. I sold that Navi I had, and that thing's a fun little old bike. But they've come up. You remember, if you looked at them Honda CT 125s and trails that look just like the 70 models,
Mm-hmm.
I rode one of them things when I was a kid, a 90, rode the wheels off of it. And I got the hot to buy one of them things.
One of those Honda Trail 90s or whatever they were.
Yeah, they were 90. Well, they made a 50 and a 70 and a 90.
Yeah, I rode a 90. A friend of mine had one.
And you can just do about anything you want to on them things. 130 miles a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And
That little Honda Ruckus, that's a good little trail bike to putt around the desert with.
well, that's sort of what I'm getting rigged up on this other camper I'm putting together. Well, it's going to have a door in the back that I can run that CT 125 up in.
Mm.
And still have room to camp in it, have a bed and a bathroom and everything in the front, you know. And I've lived in these trailers long enough now that I sort of know what I want in a trailer. Yeah, but that Suzuki Thumper would get it though, Mobang. That was when I used to motocross just a little bit, and when they first come out with that YZ 400, well, that was a hot little old bike.
Your boys and your toys, Diane says.
Yeah.
I have lots of toys, but they're all old and paid for.
Well, I'm bad about buying stuff and selling it. If you buy it right and sell it right, you can make a few bucks like that.
Yeah, I buy stuff and I keep it. You know, I have a lot of vehicles sitting around here, but very seldom do I sell anything unless, I have a good reason. I'm trading it for another vehicle, or, I can't remember the last time I sold a vehicle, like just advertised it and sold it to somebody. I always worry about selling a vehicle to someone and then having some kind of trouble with it and causing them trouble, or having them come back and say, "Hey, you sold me a piece of crap," That always bothered me. So I buy stuff and I just hang on to it most of the time.
Well, I bought that Jeep. And I've been fooling with it. I think how the no boy got the hot to buy it. But that knee's been giving me hell getting in and out of that tall Jeep.
Did you say you bought a Jeep?
Yeah, I bought one.
Oh, okay. I know you were looking at one, but I never heard that you actually bought it.
I bought a 94. It's got the 6-cylinder in it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's been done to it is they put a 3-inch lift on it, and then they put the big tires and rims on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a stock.
That's that 4.0 straight six, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good motor. That's what I have in both of my Jeeps that I have. I have a 2003 and a 1998, and they both have that 4-liter straight six, and they just run forever.
Oh, yeah. The one vehicle I really wish I hadn't sold is that's what you need to do, Box Man. The I had one of the full size Jeep Wagoneer, water track in it,
Yeah.
and I think that was my favorite vehicle I've ever owned. The thing was a mud duck out of this world with that quadra track in it,
Hmm.
and it had a 360 V8 in it, so it had all kind of damn room,
Yeah.
And I owned it, and I owned one of the pickups. I forget the name of them pickups, but it was a full size Jeep pickup. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are crazy expensive now because they don't make them anymore.
No. Yeah.
Mobank got to drive my Cherokee when he was down here for the Ironwood meetup. I asked him. I said, "Hey Tim, I need somebody to drive because we're going out to look at some old mine and cemetery. You know, looking around some old places out here during our meetup." So he drove my Cherokee, and then I gave him a certificate when we were done that qualified him as a 4-wheel drive off-road driver. Yeah,
Hello, Captain Jack.
we had fun with that.
Oh yeah, I enjoy a Jeep, and it's getting hard to find a Jeep now that's not an automatic.
Yeah.
I looked at a lot of regular Wranglers, and I'd say 3/4 of them were automatic, and I
Well,
like standard.
yeah, when I bought my Cherokee, I found it down in Sierra Vista, and it was a retired Marine who passed away, and his granddaughter got it, and she wanted a good home for it, and it was unmolested, as Tim said. It wasn't modified; it was bone stock, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Took me about 2 years to find a bone stock Cherokee because most of them are all modified, got lift kits, have been beat to crap. And this one was in really good shape. So I put a couple thousand into it and got it good and roadworthy. I mean, I would jump in that thing tomorrow and drive it to Washington D.C. and back because it's that in that good a shape.
Well, this Jeep I bought's got 121,000 on it, so it hadn't been run too hard.
Yeah, you'll be able to get 250,000 out of that motor.
Yeah, if this guy keeps popping off at me, I probably won't have it too long.
You got somebody wanting to buy it?
Yeah, I need to put a video up on that thing. It's a yellow and black Wrangler. I don't like the top it's on it right now. It's got the pickup top on it, where the back's got a cover on it. Uh, but it's a good looking Jeep with the big tires and stuff on it. And the one thing I've seen a lot of Jeeps with the big tires that road walk real bad,
Hmm.
dark. And this thing don't do that.
Mm.
You can set it up on 70 on the highway and just sit there and cruise with it. It's just solid as a rock. But he done offered me about $2,500 more than I paid for it. That's sort of hard.
Oh yeah, it's something my dad always said. He was a mechanic, not by trade, but a mechanic his whole life, and he always said, the right amount of money, I'll sell anything. And
Yeah.
he did. He would buy something, fix it up, and somebody'd offer him more money for it, and he'd sell it. I mean, he went through so many cars as I was growing up, but it was fun because I learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I've had to swallow some of my statements here lately. With this knee this bad, I had in fact, I'm gonna make somebody a deal on one of them. I had built a cab over camper and had it the outside finished up on it, and was fixing to start doing the inside, and I ran across a really nice cab over, and the old boy was trading it in on the new one, and I walked outside. He walked outside to smoke a cigarette, and I walked out there, and I said, "What they offer you on that trade in?" He told me. I said, "I tell you what I'll do. I'll take and give you $500 more for it right now than what they offer you on trade in." It's gonna bring about 10.5, Georgia, somewhere in that neighborhood. It don't have any body damage on it at all, not rusted out or anything. The only thing that has been added to it, they put one of them good bumpers on the front with a bar and the mount for the winch. It doesn't have a winch on it, but the mount and everything's there. But anyway, I bought that cab over camper from him for half what they'd been asking for it. But then after in that cold weather, well, I just moved in that little old camper because it was small and you could light that furnace and it was just like toast in there,
Ah, nice.
And yeah, I leaned over the, but I figured out right quick that's my favorite vehicle. My favorite camping vehicle is a cab over camper
Mm-hmm.
because you can pull a trailer. You need to drop it, you can drop it. But I figured out right quick that I ain't young as I used to be, and getting out of bed in the middle of the night to go pee, climbing out of that top bunk.
Yeah,
It,
that's a problem. Yeah.
yeah. And so I guess I'm gonna wind up and wind up and sell both them cab overs. And somebody, I have a hell of a cab over on that one I built because it's built right. It's not a bunch of light stuff. And the other one is fits a 6.5 foot bed, but it's got a bathroom and shower in it. So it's got everything you need.
Yeah. The Box Fan D's meetup, it wasn't this year, but I think it was last year. There was a young couple there that had a homemade camper, cab over camper. It was painted yellow. I don't know if you remember that or not, but uh, they were full time nomads, young couple, but they were in their late 20s maybe. And they sold jewelry and whatever, you know, trinkets they made. And it was a really interesting looking camper from the outside. They had, nice windows in it and everything. And it really, they got a lot of attention when they pulled in and parked.
Well, I painted this one I trimmed it in black and sort of an off white, and it turned out looking nice. That's the second one I built. When I was pulling them RVs, I got tired of staying in motels, and I couldn't find a camper like I wanted. And them things are expensive new.
Yeah.
They cost more than a damn travel trailer did. And so I built a cab over, and while I was pulling them RVs, well, I lived in that thing for about 6 months, I guess, pulling RVs. I just quit pulling fifth wheels and started pulling bumper pulls.
Uh,
And so this is the second one I built. So it
you just made them out of wood.
yeah, just took plywood and then cover them with cloth and on this one that I just got through building, in fact, there's gonna be some videos up on it before long. The one I just got through building is it's got that poor man's fiberglass on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It
No.
it they use a ground cloth, a paint cloth, drop cloth
Uh-huh.
at canvas, and then they mix half and half with Loctite, or not Loctite, uh, that tight bond too. They mix it half and half with water, and they saturate that thing, put it on just like fiberglass cloth.
Okay. All right. But it's cloth, huh?
Yeah, it's cloth, and
Okay.
that's the way all the old RVs used to be made.
Ah.
And so that thing, it's set up to where somebody wants to take and build them. Yeah, I've got a bunch of them out. I'm I'm trying to, Mike. I'm trying to get 10 videos ahead. That's what I'm trying to do, and that way I can just schedule them out and not worry about it.
That's the way to do it. And then you can kind of pick which ones. Okay, well that one didn't do so good, so I'll pick a different one. When you schedule them out, you look at your views and whether people were interested in them or not, and then you can kind of juggle them around. That's what I do.
I was took a bunch of stuff on the quail and was getting that stuff ready to go, but that dead burn phone of mine, it's it was an MP4 instead of an MP3, and it don't want to go into my video editor. And I've been playing with it all day.
Uh,
Like, but I enjoy building stuff, and that's all I did all my life for a job,
yeah,
and so I can build just about anything, like them airboats.
yeah. That that cab over that I was talking about, Dee said, she mentioned back here who that was, and she did a tour of their rig on her channel about 3 years ago.
Well, I
Love
tell you,
called it Love Hut. Imagine that, a young couple calling it a love hut.
don't come knocking if a trailer's rocking, huh?
That's right.
They, well, I'd like to keep the lives going too. That's the reason I like making videos ahead of time. You could,
Hmm.
if you had 10 of them, well, that'd be a couple months worth of videos if you dropped 2 a week.
Yeah, I tried doing 2 a week when I first started, and that was too much for me. So I'm doing one live on Monday morning, and then I'll drop a video usually on Saturday, and that's enough for me. I don't want to get burnt out. So
That
I'm
was,
not going to be a millionaire on YouTube. I figured that out pretty quickly, but it's nice to make a little money, if you can, and doing those two things a week is plenty for me. Love Hut for life. Okay, D, thanks. Love Hut for life.
I have to go back and look at that and do. But I had a guy look at it the other day, and I priced that one I got built up at 1,500, and it's got the 4 jacks on it, $700. Those jacks are expensive.
Well, speaking of D, her and I did a dash cam installation on her car here a couple months ago. She had a company ship her a dash cam free of charge, and they asked her do a video on it, and you can keep it. And so we did that. First time we were in Quartzsite this year, Oki and I went up there, and Dee and I did the installation on that. And then she gave it to me, and I have that in my Cherokee right now, D. But the company just emailed me, and they have a new unit that is a 4K video recording where you can pick up license plate numbers. And they asked me if I was interested in doing a review on it's a beta, so it's still in development. So I told them, yeah, and it's about a $400 camera, so I'm
Wow,
gonna I'm gonna do a review on that for them, and then I'll have a new dash cam to put in the RV.
that's good. And I tell you what, I think that's sort of important now. I, how- the but I got too much stuff. I need to get rid of a little bit of it.
Yeah, I hear you, D. It gets to be too much.
Yeah. Well, everything you own takes a certain amount of time and money, and you just get too much of it.
Yeah, just doing oil changes on vehicles is costing me a fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, I just spent, for on my truck, which is a Dodge, a little 6-cylinder Eco Diesel. I spent $125 just on oil and a filter, and that's doing it myself. That's crazy.
Go try F-150 or
Man,
Ford diesel. I think somebody said the filters, fuel filter and oil filter and everything cost like $750.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, some of this stuff has got crazy. I used to drive Fords all the time, and they're just, I don't know. Ford is like an aluminum body. I worked aluminum all my life, and I don't want a car made out of aluminum. They, I know it's lighter and everything, but oh, you had to fix something on it. You better hang on.
Yeah. When I retired, the electric co-op was starting to buy the aluminum Ford pickups. And I asked a couple of meter readers, what do you like or what do you think about those? And they said, well, they get stuck easy because they're so light. They get down in the washes and they have trouble. They're two-wheel drive. They have trouble getting out of the sand washes because they're so light. There's no weight to them. So they'll throw some sandbags in the back, try to weight them down a little bit so they'll travel through the washes better.
Well, I used to run like 8 different welding rigs, and I kept pretty close tabs on upkeep and repairs and stuff on them. And
Mm-hmm.
I found out the Chevrolets didn't, or GMCs, they didn't they didn't have any major breakdowns, but there was something wrong with them all the time. It's some little bitty something.
Yeah.
The Fords, you could run them for the same length of time and have a tenth the trouble you had out of the General Motors, but it ain't that way no more.
No. Ford had some big trouble with their diesels.
Oh yeah,
We had some Ford diesels. The linemen used them, and as small bucket trucks, and they turned out to be garbage there.
man.
And I don't know if they're still building them, but these were like the 450s, the F450s, 550s with a big diesel in them, and they had nothing but trouble with them.
Yeah, that was that 6.0. I bought one of them things. I bought a 450 when I first started pulling RVs, and I finally had to give that back to Ford for lemon.
Ah,
They is a nice truck, and when it was running, boy, it would run a hole in the damn wind. When
hmm.
when I was pulling them RVs, they had 2,500 drivers up there, and your diesels were Ford, Dodge, Chevrolet. Well, they just come out with that new Chevrolet diesel where they took a gas engine to try to make a diesel engine out of it, and that didn't work real well. It had some things wrong with it, and then they come out with a 6.0. Yeah, if you can keep it running that long, Jim, Ford come out with that 6.0, and you be driving down the road, and all of a sudden the truck would start getting hot, start rattling, and you'd check, and you'd have a radiator full of oil. And the Dodge Cummins was the best engine up there.
You know, I think I saw a Ford the other day with a Cummins ID plate on the side of it. Are they putting Cummins motors in them now?
I don't know, but you know, Ford bought Cummins.
Did they?
Yeah, but Dodge had a contract with them to keep putting that Cummins in their truck. Now the new Cummins, I'm not impressed with them. I'm not impressed with diesels at all anymore. If you're working one and you're working it every day, they're good trucks. But if you're not pulling a heavy load, you know, now, because they don't get any gas mileage anymore.
Right.
And now they'll pull, but every time you pull in a shop, you're going to drop a $1,000 bill. I don't care what you do to it.
Yeah, and you got to run that cat pee in them now. That's the way my truck is. You got to run that diesel exhaust fluid in it.
The depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's not cheap either. Well, you know, that I had a 204 Dodge, and that thing would get 23, 24 miles a gallon running, you know, naked without a trailer behind it. We get 18, 19 pulling a 35, 40 foot fifth wheel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, they don't do it. When they come out with the 205, they started squeezing them down, trying to get more horsepower out of them. And after that, they just started to come apart. I'll tell you a funny story about that Dodge. I had a low beam headlight go out, and we were pulling them trailers at night, so I had to have it. I thought, well, you know, 20, 25 bucks, put another headlight in it. So I pulled it in a shop, and told them I'll be back in a little while. I'm going to go get something to eat. Well, I got to sit down there for about 30 minutes was eating. Got a phone call. They said, well, we found your trouble, and said, we can order the parts for it. That it'd be tomorrow before they get in. And I said, well, what's it going to cost? They said, $2,500. I said, well, he said, yeah. I said, that what went out on that thing, it goes to the motherboard and another computer, and that's what keeps your lights on, you know, for a minute or two after you kill it, and then shuts the lights off. So we got to replace the motherboard and blah, blah, blah. Wow. I said, put it back together. I'll pick it up in a little bit. Well, I said, well, you got to have that fixed. I said, you don't understand. You talking to a damn redneck from Texas. Mm-hmm. They said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm fixing to drive down the street to AutoZone and buy 2 spools of wire and a double throw toggle switch, and I'm going to take the damn headlights off that motherboard and put them straight on the battery.
Yeah.
I said, I'll spend about 25 bucks and I won't have this trouble anymore.
Uh-huh.
About 15 minutes, they called me back and said, well, we found a rebuilt motherboard for $250. And I said, well, okay, go ahead and put it on there. But I had figured out what I was fixing to do to it.
That's right, Mobang. Keep it simple, stupid.
That's right.
The KISS principle, yeah.
A friend of mine drove up the other day with a 57 Chevrolet 2-door hardtop he had just bought. And he's fixing to go in and really doll it up. I flipped that hood open. I forgot how much room was underneath that damn hood with that little old 283 in it. Well, a 283 wasn't little then, but...
Yeah. Yeah, you could actually jump in there and work on it standing on the ground practically.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, a whole different ball game.
That's a sweet little car you got then.
Oh, I'll tell you what. If I had all the cars, I've always horse-traded vehicles. If I had all the cars I'd owned down through the years, I damn sure wouldn't have to worry about nothing. I had one vehicle. It was a 57 Chevrolet convertible, and it was solid white. I'm talking about carpet, interior seats, everything, and they didn't make but 100 of them.
Mm.
That, and it had the Continental kit on it and the damn fender skirts, and and I made some money on it. I bought it and sold it. Well, now there's 8 of them things left. And here about 2 years ago, I saw one sell on that car auction deal.
Yeah.
$1.2 million.
Wow. Don't you wish you had it now, huh?
Woo! I'll tell you one better than that. We had a little old town about 10 miles from where I live, where I grew up. A railroad track run right through town. And they had a derailment there. Well, they had 25 brand new Fords on that derailment. And that was before they had the shields on them, on the
Yeah.
car. And somebody busted a windshield out of one of them and stole something off one of them. So they unloaded them and leased a big old barn from a farmer there and put them in there and locked them up. Well, now this was in brand new 57 Fords. And there were some in there that were in hardtop convertibles. You remember those?
Yeah.
And then there's some T-Birds in there. And anyway, and I guess the railroad company or the insurance company paid off and they forgot about them cars. Well, 5 years ago, the old man that owned the barn died. And his son come down and got to looking through there and found all them cars. And of course, the storage on them things, they had ate them up a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talk about a home run.
Yeah. I
Have
can imagine. Yeah.
50 brand new Fords that had 1 mile on them. That old boy didn't ever have to work again.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And Tim made a comment there. They put all the control and all the computers underneath the hood where it's hotter than hell, and that's the worst place to put a computer in there.
Yeah. 92 Ford. Hell, I'm thinking seriously about buying a new truck. That'd probably be the last one I buy. But now the used ones are so damn high, you don't save any money buying a second-hand one.
No. I bought a 2014 Dodge with a 3.0 Eco Diesel. I bought it brand new in 2014, and that was my retirement truck. And I still have it. We're going on 10 years. Next year will be 10 years. It's got 103,000 miles on it. Still runs good. And I should be able to put another 100,000 on it.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, with no problem. So, everything I buy, I plan and I keep it. So that's good. That's one of those I'm going to keep. And that's when Oki, my wife, goes to town. That's what she drives. So I want her in a big vehicle in case somebody rear ends her, because it's happened to her before. And that somebody did rear end her in that truck, and they dented the rear bumper, which was $1,500 to fix. But it protected her, having her in a big vehicle like that.
I've got that Jeep and a Silverado and a Harley with a sidecar on it and a Honda 300. I got 4 vehicles. Got too many. Good night, Miss Linda. They your email never did come through. Let me check again. Linda, I never did get your email. You might want to send that again. Yep. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's probably where it's at.
I saw a Camp Goer 1 popped in earlier, Linda. I don't know if she's still here, but hopefully somebody said hi to her.
Well, it just came in. I tell you what, these emails are getting where they're not. Wow. It's a picture of her van with a covered up with snow.
Snow, what's that?
Yeah, that's it. Stuff that turns yellow at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we
Wow.
had this mountain behind me, Ragged Top Mountain. We had a dusting of snow on that last Wednesday when we got our hailstorm.
She didn't send it to my tender account because I don't have that. I got enough trouble with just YouTube. It just came in. When I opened email back up, well, it just popped up then. I don't have a Twitter account. Very seldom get on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the way my email is too, Jim. I have to open it and then it starts pulling whatever's out there in.
Well, that was the second time I opened it though, Jim. So that picture Linda sent me, she got a Dodge, one of them high top Dodges or Mercedes, and it's got snow plumb up to the doors on the side, up over the back. I don't look for them.
What state is she in?
I don't know. Where you at, Linda? I don't remember. I got in trouble on account of that damn snow when I was up there in Elkhart. My wife was riding with me, and I'd back into one of them yards and hook up to a trailer and hook the wires up, the lights up, and everything. And she'd walk around and tie the license plate on the back, and I'd hit the lights, and she'd check them while she was back there. You have a good night, D. Transit Connect, okay. And she walked around the back of one of them trailers, and it backed it over a ditch. And so when she walked around the back of that trailer, there was snow 18 inches deep. She stepped off in that ditch, and she went down in that snow. I mean, it was boob deep. You know? Well, she couldn't get out of it.
Oh, jeez.
And she went to hollering at me, and I went around there. Well, when I saw what happened, I couldn't help it. I just fell out laughing. And of course, she didn't think it's too damn funny. I told her, I said, you remember all that hard time you've been giving me lately? You just keep running your mouth, and I'm going to leave you there. I wasn't too popular for a little bit.
I'll bet.
Oh, Lord. Linda said she's in Ohio. It gets cold up there.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to jump off of here, Ron.
Well, you might as well hang around 5 more minutes and we'll all jump off.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll do that. That's it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming up. It really helps when somebody comes up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I do my lives on Monday. Tomorrow morning I'll do mine, and I try to come up with something to talk about, make some notes and think about things to talk about. And of course, interact with the chat and everybody who's in. in the chat. So it's not always easy, but no one wants to come up at 9 o'clock in the morning because their hair is all messed up and they haven't brushed their teeth yet, and they're still getting their first cup of coffee and all of that. So I usually go on my own.
Jim, you have a good night, bud. Appreciate you coming in. Well, my deal on quitting that Monday live, and I was still doing a live stream every night then, and it was just too much,
Mm-hmm.
and it just.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, Linda, you have a good night. Yeah, we can shut this thing down in a few minutes. Were you in there in Ava's Monday?
I was watching. Yeah, I always watch Ava's on Monday, and also Grandma Kelly. I watch hers because they both shout out my channel, so I always try to support them. But yeah, I was there, and then Friday night they had a little celebration, their monetized celebration. So that was good to see that.
I guess Friday night's the one I'm thinking about. Ava was wound up like an 8-day clock.
Yeah, she sure was. Yeah, yeah, she sure was. Yeah, it's really good, to see her finally get monetized. I mean, when you started pushing it, and I jumped on the bandwagon, and I pushed for her too, and she got there. So
Yeah, well, I don't know what made me start that. Everybody was talking about New Year's resolutions, and I thought, that couple right there works harder than anybody I know of. And like I say, you started pushing, Diane started pushing, I started pushing, Roy did. There were 4 or 5 people, and I didn't tell Ava I was going to do that. It was all a shock to her.
Yeah, I was sharing all her Friday night live streams out on my Facebook page too. I don't know if that helps, but every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps. And I like to see somebody like Ava and Doug do good on it because they sure work at it.
They do. Yeah. To have someone share their talent, I mean, there's a certain risk in doing that. in playing music, and they're both very talented. Not everybody is into the old time music, but I like it. I like the old time music that they play. And my wife and I sit there and eat dinner, and I put their Friday Night Live on the TV, and we sit and we eat dinner to it every Friday night. That's our routine, and it's just fun to watch them. They're just really good at it, and it's just fun.
She tickled me, boy. That Google box of hers was turned over Friday night.
Yeah, it sure was.
And Doug is a perfect straight man.
I have yet to hear him talk. Now, I know he's been on your live streams and talk, but I haven't heard him say a word, but a grunt now and then.
I think that made Ava about half mad the first time I got Doug talking on my live.
That's a promise, right? That's a promise that she made him, was that he didn't have to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He cracks me up.
He seems like a good guy.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect match. Ava don't ever shut up, and Doug doesn't say anything, so it works.
Ron, that's also a smart man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I learned that a long time ago. I just don't live up to it all the time. Sometimes I open my mouth when I ought to keep it shut. Mm-hmm. My youngest daughter is not diplomatic at all. She's not politically correct. And she'll tell you the truth when a lie sounds better. I mean, you. And I told her, I said, you could be a little, smooth that down just a little bit. Well, why? All I did was say what was the truth.
Yeah.
And she's a little old bitty thing, feisty as they come. I still crack up at her. She's married to an old boy that's about 6'5", and she's about 5'1". He don't mess with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we made that hour and a half, so we'll go ahead and start shutting this thing down. And I appreciate everybody coming in.
All right, Ron. Thanks for having me up, and see everybody. I'll be live tomorrow morning here in Arizona if you care to stop by. So we'll see you then.
All right. Yeah, I gotta finish up another quail cage tomorrow. I've got it about half built, but I got some babies on the ground now that I'm gonna have to do something with. And
all right, video to come, right? Video to come.
Yeah,
right.
I use my phone to do the videos, and I'm taking them, but they're MP4s, and it don't want to. I can't pull them up into that video maker. I'm gonna have to change them, I guess, to a JPEG or something.
Yeah, play around with it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It take a little time. Good night, folks. I appreciate everybody coming in.